So at Malton School, there's always been a long-term vision, and that's been sort of deployed out by the senior leadership team right from the start. That was initial conversations with the senior leadership team, including the head, and discussing how far out we want this project to go. Right back 8 years ago, that was the glorious vision that we laid out. Over that period, we've basically gone from just a handful of devices all the way to one-to-one. Those kind of ideas and goals have got bigger and bigger and bigger, and every year we've hit them, which has been fantastic. So just before COVID struck, we had a fairly intense meeting about kind of where we were going to take this next. That the school was using Shobi really proficiently. It was creating all its content and its curriculum on the iPad. So I'm sitting in this meeting going, right, okay, well, where do we take this? The next thing was to look at sort of learning management and, is there a content creation tool or a content curation tool that would actually hold all that content? So what came about was a kind of consideration as to Microsoft Teams and OneNote. Now, the school has got a Microsoft back end, so it kind of made sense to do that. But at that point, before lockdown, Microsoft Teams was this beta version that was right on the periphery of everything. So we kind of recalled back all of the planning and programming that we'd done before, and basically looked at it and gone, yeah, we could roll this out within the year. So we formed a solution, formed a plan that would roll that out across the sixth form, across the year, roll out a series of training events, roll out all these kind of things. Unfortunately, obviously COVID hit, and within the Friday that the lockdown hit, the Monday that plan was enacted, and by the end of that week, they'd basically done the year's worth of deployment in 5 days. With Malton School, there's a bigger commitment to sort of individual staff training. So what has been sort of set up originally in our first approach to this, or the first time we did this, was testing one-to-one teaching with staff. So we would go into the classroom with the teachers and actually see how they're using the devices, and then have reflective time afterwards to then go through and say, well, here's a bit of a challenge that we can overcome using this. That's evolved massively into something of more of a hybrid consultancy, that we spend quite a lot of considered time with the staff. So for example, this week, I've probably spent at least 2 hours with the majority of staff, and actually just focused on what they need rather than kind of what a department needs or what the whole school needs. So it means that we can tailor the training really specifically to individuals, which means that you get increased uptake from individuals, which means you can drive the project faster. It's not the device, and they're very critical at every point to look at it and actually go, is this the thing that we need right now? Is this the thing that we need in the future? And then the other thing, which I think is born from the leadership setting it, is essentially we'll give it a go. And that's at every single level across the school, from the students all the way to the SLT. And I think that culture change only comes about from having that kind of leadership team to drive it. There's this really cheesy thing in consultancy of like, you're standing on a mountain of knowledge, right? And you don't really see what you've got beneath you. And I think, all schools that get to this point that we work with, they're kind of quite humble. And I think, I just think there's if you actually look at, if you were to just come here and walk into a classroom, you can see way more than what I can ever tell you.